Hey, here we go.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited. Celeste is back. Finally, it's
Yeah.
been a long month almost of just me and those weird guest stars. Opa, yes, hello,
Hey.
yay. My goodness, there are so many books coming out tomorrow. Like almost every book that's in my regular pull is all coming out tomorrow. So I
Oh
have
wow.
a huge stack of books. So there's also some new stuff that I want to talk about. So I'm not going to talk too much about like my regular pulls. Like I think everybody here, like if you know that I like the GI Joe books and
hmm
stuff like that.
I
So,
feel like
but
you could talk about it for
I really
hours.
could.
Yeah.
I could, but we are going to go ahead and start like we always do
With
with
facsimiles.
facsimiles. And again, I don't have a whole lot to say about Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is issue 5. This is like the one book that came out this week that I didn't have a chance to read today, but I'm looking forward to it. But this is mostly just a PSA for those of you that may not be aware, but for the
Oh,
40th anniversary.
is that a Pegasus?
Yes, yeah. For the 40th anniversary, DC is reprinting Crisis on Infinite Earths, the 12 issue series, as facsimile reprints, and I think that's pretty cool. I never did read the series, even though it's been collected a million times. So it's kind of neat just getting to read it issue by issue as it would have originally released. Lots of great artwork by George Perez. It's such a dense book. I kind of like don't it's not it's like the last thing I decide to read in the week because it's as you saw, like the
hmm
pages are just really dense and I'm like I just need to like sit down with no distractions and just focus on it. But
Yeah.
I am really enjoying it. But there is another facsimile coming out tomorrow that I
Ooh.
probably talk about a little bit more, and that is Amazing Spider-Man number 259. Also, similar to DC, Marvel is reprinting the year's worth of Amazing Spider-Man issues that came out in '84 or '85, I think.
Wait, this is so cute.
Yeah, yeah, this is a nice like throwback to a Steve Ditko type of cover.
Yeah.
Um,
I like
uh,
how he actually has web shooters.
Right, yeah. So this is the issue. If you were following along with the previous facsimiles that I talk about every time they come out, last month
hmm
was the issue number 258, and that's where Spider-Man realizes that the black costume is an alien symbiote, and he separates himself from it. You know what? It's been like a month. I don't even know. Maybe you weren't here for that episode. Uh,
I I could not tell
you
you.
don't. You. It's
I
okay.
don't
You
know.
wouldn't remember. It's okay.
Yeah, if I don't actually like read the issue, it's not in
It's
my
just
brain.
in one
Yeah.
ear out the other. I
Yeah, pretty
understand.
much.
But so this is nice, good issue. This is the like the important thing about this issue is that it is the backstory for Mary Jane, who at this
Oh.
point has just been kind of a supporting character in the book. Like she dated Peter Parker for a while, and then in the last issue, it was the big reveal where she revealed that she knew he was Spider-Man like this whole time. And
Yeah.
so this issue is her. They're kind of her and Peter having a conversation, and she kind of reveals like her secret past about her. I guess we'll just say abusive family life, and it was an attempt to kind of bond with Peter because she knows his big secret that he's Spider-Man. And there's also some Hobgoblin action. They've been building him up as kind of the new main villain at this period of Spider-Man, and I always kind of like the Hobgoblin.
I mean,
Um,
with a name like
He's
Hobgoblin.
he's Hobby, good old
Yeah.
Hobby Hobgoblin. But yeah, classic Spider-Man comics. Just like I don't know, I like pretty much any Spider-Man comic that's like pre 1996 ish,
It's
somewhere
all
in there.
trash after
It's
that. Whoa, 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 whoa.
look, it never the series never fully recovered after the Clone Saga.
Okay.
It's had a few
Huh.
spikes here and there, but but I'm old, so I like old things.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like
That
the young
explains it.
people's Spider-Man is not my Spider-Man.
'Cause I do really enjoy the like Spider Verse stuff.
Yeah. Moving on.
It's fine.
What it's I'm not even gonna say that. I
Wow.
just have nothing to say about it.
Uh,
We talked about two
Ooh.
facsimiles. What do you got? What are you excited
Well,
about?
I don't know. Kind of like a facsimile. This is older.
Is it an older book?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
So this came out a couple weeks ago. Finally got around to reading it, but it was super cute. It's called Hover Girls.
Hover Girls.
And so these two girls, they're cousins, and they gain like magical sort of watery abilities.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love the art. It's just drawn super cute. The storyline is fun. I really like the characters too. They got a lot of depth to them as far as not just like your normal main character, like copy and paste that you get. So that was fun. But yeah, I read
really
the whole
colorful.
thing. Yeah, loved it. Who's the writer on this one? I forget. Geneva
Bowers
Yeah.
writes and draws it, I presume.
Yeah. So shout out to her because
Yeah.
I loved this one. But yeah, that's
Did
I
you
don't
read-
want to like spoil
Oh,
too
okay,
much
yeah,
about
we
it,
won't.
but it's one of those girl transformation like kind of
like
stories,
a magical girl kind of a thing, like
Yeah.
an American version of the.
I think they say that at some point, and they're like, "Oh, time to do our magical girl transformation."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
her cousin was like, "You were gone for 10 minutes," and she's like, "I had to go change."
It does seem like there's a whole like new generation of American magical girl comics
Yeah.
that are from creators that were all inspired by Sailor Moon, but they're all like
fun.
yeah, exactly. I get it. Yeah, but it's like they're not quite the same as Sailor Moon because Sailor Moon is so Japanese, and now it's like an American version of that.
Yeah.
Which it's just I don't know. It's just funny to see like the exchange of cultures because Sailor Moon was kind of like influenced by some American
really?
tropes.
I know
Well,
like
just
nothing
like-
about Sailor Moon.
It's
actually.
like Sailor Moon, as I understand it, basically invented the magical girl genre. My wife would be able to tell you all about it, but
Yeah.
you know, it was like kind of like what if it was like Japanese girl superhero kind of a situation, and it's just so it's such its own thing. It's like you don't even recognize the like any superhero elements in it,
Yeah.
you know.
Which I've seen a lot of anime where it's just those like the transformations. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
sequence.
Yeah.
Love that trope. It's really fun. This is a lot more realistic in the fact that it's not actually like a girl transformation and she goes off to go change. There's a lot of humor aspects in
That's
this whole
pretty
book.
funny then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex says modern Amazing Spider-Man is trash. I will neither confirm nor deny my agreeing with that comment, but I do think it's important to read that comment. So I noticed you got another book here, the trade paperback collected edition of Bear Pirate Viking Queen.
Yes,
comes out tomorrow.
Which, if you had been keeping up with the stream, you know that I loved this issue or this comic series when it was coming out.
Looks great.
Yeah, so I'm tempted to get this one because at the end it has all the different like alt artwork.
It has like designs
the
and end. Sorry.
So I bought all the issues, but like
very cool.
Yeah. So it's for those of you who don't know, it starts off pretty vague, and the story starts to pick up near the end, but you find out it's all kind of about oppression, and it's this very big like metaphor. You meet this bear, which at first I always laugh when I think back about how I'm like, oh, I thought this bear just showed up like in the middle of the ocean, and you were like, no, I think it's a metaphor for something. So yeah, he's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's not.
I think the bear represents like freedom.
The bear's not actually there.
No. But yeah, loved this issue. Can't say that enough. I'm recommending it to everyone.
It looks great. Like it's a really, really good looking book. The first issue, admittedly, like the first issue is weird. Like I think we talked about it. It's we did talk about it.
Yeah.
It's really surreal. So I think you kind of have to, like, there's an aspect to it where you have to just sort of like go with the flow of just like enjoy the art and kind of get swept up into the story. I had mixed feelings
after the first one because I couldn't really understand like what direction it was going to take, but I figured it was only 3 issues, so I kept up with it.
Yeah.
Really glad that I did.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. So it's nice. Yeah. I'm glad that this collected edition is out because I know several people were interested in the book, but like issue 1 sold out pretty quickly, and then it becomes one of those things where.
And we did a reprinting of issue 1, sold out too.
Yep. Yeah, they did second printings of it, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that. All right. So let's just like burn through some of the stuff that's in my poll. I don't want to spend too much time on this. We have a
Uh-huh.
provocative cover here, but I have been following. Alex says the art was excellent. I didn't understand a damn thing in that book, and the Bear Pirate Viking Queen. Yeah, it's definitely like very dreamlike with the storytelling. But like
Yeah.
you said, the art is excellent. But another book that has excellent art that is a little easier to follow in the story is Penthouse Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just not even going to. I'm not even going to flip through this. Like
Is it
I
one of
don't want
those where
to.
you can't really flip through it?
Well, it's not like it's not really pornographic. Like it sounds
Okay.
like it is because Penthouse, is
And
pornographic,
based off the cover
and the cover
too.
is a very provocative cover.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what it is it's just adult comics, and so it's like very European, like in the vein of like a heavy metal type of a book, but instead of science fiction and fantasy, it's like sexy, pulpy noir crime drama.
Okay.
And so like we'll just like show these 2 pages here from the first story. Like really really cool European art.
Yeah,
I
I
like
actually
the
love that.
yeah, like that panel there is really good. Just like there's a lot of good. Just the art is really good. Like there's cartooning. It's just if you're used to reading written by Brubaker. No, it's not written by Brubaker. Most of this, the Penthouse comics, it's an anthology series, and most of it is European creators. But no, it is not written by Brubaker. But I do recommend everything that Brubaker does. But yeah, like I like if you're so used to reading just kind of like American comics. Not I don't even want to say just like superhero comics, although superhero comics suffer from this probably more than anybody. But even a lot of Image and Dark Horse books, a lot of the art just comes from a very realist school of art where they're trying to just accurately represent reality, which I think is really boring. And I think that's part of the reason why manga is so popular
Mm-hmm.
because they'll have like really technical drawings that accurately portray like a car, like the car looks like it's drawn like to the finest detail, but then the characters will just be some weird cartoon looking thing. And
Yeah.
they do a good job with having like interesting designs and interesting art, and you get that with some of these European artists where
See,
there's a
like,
lot
how
of
else are you gonna know they're the main character unless they have weird hair?
unless they have weird hair, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you get that. Like here's a nice page from a different artist that's in Penthouse. This is a really like noir story,
Yeah.
but like it reminds me of to show my limited knowledge. It reminds me of Eduardo Russo, who was the artist on another great crime noir book, 100 Bullets, written by Brian Azzarello. But yeah, so it's just like this is it's meant to be a little provocative. Like they are using the Penthouse name, and there is a photo shoot in the back of the book. But it's also just like really great comics if you like that kind of a like just a more challenging
Mm-hmm.
adult type of story. So I really enjoy it. Really do recommend it. It's in this day of the internet, like the last thing you need is to buy a magazine for that if you write really hard material. So yeah, I think it just works really well for comics, and I don't blame them for trying to kind of branch out on that.
Yeah.
A few other books that are in my poll regularly that I like to talk about a lot, and then we're going to move on to some of the new stuff. I see you. You know what? Oh, man, Celeste, you have a pretty big stack
A lot
too.
of them are books.
Okay, you got
And
some
this one's like
trade
old.
paperbacks in there. All right, well
Yeah.
let's blast through. A new issue of Conan the Barbarian comes out tomorrow, and I know I've been talking about this book. This is issue 14.
Oh,
I can't believe it's been going on for so long. Alex says he's going to have to find an excuse as to why he's buying a book called Penthouse. Exactly, it's good stuff. It really is. But yeah, Conan the Barbarian. This awesome cover by James Herron, who does a really cool book called Ultra Mega, which there's actually a new one coming out soon. We'll talk about that when that comes out. But yeah, I'm just like really impressed with Jim Zub's Conan. He's the writer, and he's been alternating between art teams. This is Doug Braithwaite, sorry, that does this. Just really, really good. Like if you like Barbarian comics,
yeah. Ooh, that's
genuinely.
like wildly detailed.
Yeah,
What?
like really detailed art. It's real, like it has this like
Insane.
painted look to it. I really like it.
Yeah. How often are the issues coming out? Because
It's monthly. That's what I was
Okay,
saying. Like they
yeah.
started this. I mean, 14 months ago. This is issue 14. It's been over a year since this started, and they've kept the momentum going. Like it's just really good.
Nice.
So you know what? I'm sure a lot of people. I think you know whether or not you're interested in reading a Conan comic. But if you like Conan, but you don't read, you just haven't read a lot of Conan stuff, you can skip a lot of the more recent Marvel stuff and just go straight to this new series that's put out by Titan. Just honestly, some of the best Conan comics I've read in a long time.
Okay.
Another book. Alex says Ultra Mega is incredible. You are correct. It is Ultra. It is Ultra, and it is incredible, and it is Mega. And yeah, there's a second volume coming out. Finally, it's been like 5 years, I think, since that one first came out. But another book that's regular in my pull is Get Fury, written by Garth Ennis. Oh, Jessica, are you asking about the plot of Conan? It's basically just standard Conan stuff. I think that's why I like it.
Who's Conan? What's standard Conan?
Conan,
stuff?
he's a barbarian.
So should have known that.
This story specifically, the new story is just like a story of young Conan. So like when he first ventures out into the world around him, it's like what makes Conan so cool. Yeah, I know you don't know what classic Conan means. Neither does Celeste. Yeah, what makes Conan so cool is that he is a wandering barbarian who's kind of struck with this wanderlust. And so it's a primitive, barbaric world out there, and he wants to just go out and see what's out there and make his own path in the world. Sumerians, in the context of the stories, Sumerians are famously really introverted. Like they're from a group of people, like a race of people that live in the mountains. Yes, it's very similar to Primal. Very, very similar. Primal, I love the animated series Primal, and it was drawing on Conan the Barbarian very heavily, and that's part of why I loved it.
Never heard of it.
Primal is an animated series on Cartoon Network created by Genndy Tartakovsky, who's the guy that created Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. And I highly recommend it. If you like barbarians and you like dinosaurs, Primal is like the greatest thing ever made. It's really good. But so Conan is just really cool because it's just him kind of wandering around, getting into shenanigans. But it also operates as just really like visceral action drama of just Conan meeting people and getting embroiled in wars and stuff like that. But
do you know the time period?
It's prehistory. Conan the Barbarian takes place in prehistory. Like one of the cool things if you want me to just talk about Conan all night, we can. One of the cool things about Conan is that it's set in a time before recorded history.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of familiar phrases in it that we recognize as like what the implication is that our phrases or our names, like Valhalla, for example, is like the Norse god, or like the Norse afterlife.
Yeah.
In Conan stories, Valhalla is a real place. And the implication is like the Norse people, Valhalla one time existed, and then they've sort of mythified it and deified it, and then at a certain point, it fell into myth. So we only know of Valhalla as the place that the Norsemen believed that they would go when they died. But
that's really cool.
In the stories, it's a real place. It's not a magical place. It's just a town called Valhalla.
Like a rinky-dinky little town.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, And so it's like the same thing with like Atlantis, Atlanteans. Like that's like a place that exists like before it slipped into legend. Yeah, in your mind, yeah.
No, it's real.
But anyway, so I love Conan stories. They're just fun. They operate really well as like just really straightforward adventure and action, but also they operate as good like satire sometimes, because the whole point is like Conan will get involved in other people's problems, kind of like Star Trek. And that's a weird connection to make, but like Star Trek, they'll go to a planet and like it's like the planet has all these problems, which we recognize. You're with Celeste.
Yeah,
it's real.
Atlantis is real.
Okay, Atlantis is real. Fine.
People
Anyway,
have spoken.
to end my TED Talk, Conan is like Star Trek. Okay, moving on. I love this comic, Get Fury. I'm not going to talk about it as much as I talked about Conan, but it's written by Garth Ennis, art by Jason Burrows, and it is just so cool to see just a hardcore Punisher Nick Fury story that takes place in Vietnam. Really, like, I just love this panel. Like, they lure this guy into the car, and Punisher just grabs him. Wow. You see his arms flexing. Yeah. It's a tough guy comic if there was ever a tough guy comic. This is issue 4. If you haven't been reading it, I highly recommend it. And if you haven't, I highly recommend Garth Ennis's Punisher Max series, also his his Marvel Knight series. Basically anything Punisher written by Garth Ennis, primo stuff. Absolutely love it. Okay, nice. Before we move on to any more of my regular poll stuff, I want to let Celeste talk about something. So what do you got, Celeste?
Something crawled out. So this is issue 1 coming out tomorrow. And it is written by Sun M and illustrated by Mad Kurst.
So the first thing I know, yeah. I looked at this issue and I read the first several pages, and I noticed both of the names appear to be pen names of some kind. The writer is Sun M and the artist is Mad Kurst. Yeah. So that's kind of neat. Another thing quickly to note, I'm going to let you talk about the story, Celeste, but I don't actually remember if we talked about this. But this is a free comic that Vault is putting out that's releasing tomorrow. Yeah. Vault has been doing this thing where their number ones, they send them to us for free, and they want us to just hand them out. So,
I like when they do that.
Yeah, so
it gets you hooked. Though.
Free comic book, like genuinely free. You can just come in and take it. And then just get
we need a scan.
Well, we need to keep track of our inventory. But the point is, it's no investment on your part. You can just get it and read the first issue of the story. Yeah. So, did you read this comic, Celeste?
Yeah, and I really liked it too. I picked it up.
I got to be careful about the pages we show here.
Skip to like the middle. Like,
okay.
You can't.
Yeah.
Not the beginning. Not the end.
There's some adult situations in this.
Yeah. So. Maybe not anyone can just pick it up from the shelf.
That's true. I guess we should say it's not for kids.
Not free for everyone. But yeah, so this was really interesting. It's a mystery. I like all the character development that's going on in the beginning, like just introducing yourself to these people, which I think there's going to be a little bit of a supernatural aspect to it, because this main character, they keep pointing out that their best friend is the devil, and there was one scene which makes you like question, like, if he has powers or not, like if he actually is like devil incarnate.
Is it a metaphor or is he literally the devil? That's the mystery, right?
Which yeah, so it's fun. It's interesting. I don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah, this is a hefty issue.
I also like that there's no like ads in the middle of the comic.
Yeah.
Because that always breaks me out of like the immersion sometimes. But yeah, I loved it. There were a lot of characters, but it mostly focused on can't remember the name. These two people.
These two, yeah. The red-haired girl.
I think.
Yeah,
also
because that's the page that we can't show. I think that was her, right?
Yeah.
And then he sneaks into her room.
But yeah, I think her dad at some point mentioned like 2 daughters. So yeah, girl.
Yes, Susie, we can save you a style. Save you a style.
Oh yeah, of course.
We'll save you a copy. Yes.
Yeah, we have tons on the shelf too.
Yes,
so.
It's like we said, it is free comic book.
Hopefully, there's enough for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked that one a lot. Interested to see where it goes, because I'm appreciating the art style. Something about it draws me in.
Very cool. All right. 2 more books in my poll. You know, the other incredible thing about this is there's like 10 books that were in my poll, and I actually, like, unlike most days, I actually did read almost all of them today. So I could talk about these issues in depth.
Working?
I know that our boss doesn't watch this stream, so I'm comfortable saying I tried to do as little work as possible. Why work when you can read comic books?
Fair enough.
But you know, there's 2 G.I. Joe comics that come out tomorrow, and you know I love me some G.I. Joe. I'm just so hyped. The original series going here, written by Larry Hama. It's really cool. I like this cover, Snake Eyes. this issue is kind of a big deal because don't do that, Susie. Don't send anything to Steve. But these issues are particularly really cool because Snake Eyes is back in like his classic costume, and there's a whole thing, but he was retired for a while. This whole action, it's just an action comic. It's mutants versus robots versus GI Joe. Just really really cool. Good comic, and as I've said before, I'm just glad that Larry Hama has the opportunity to continue writing this series that he started in 1982. This comic book series is as old as I am, and that's
I know why you like it.
now you not that's exactly why. Yeah, that's really. But yeah, so that's really cool. But also the new GI Joe series, the Destro miniseries in the new continuity, the Energon universe. I like this. I mean, I hesitate to say it because I don't want to downplay everything I just said about the Larry Hama book. I kind of like these series more than the Larry Hama ones.
What?
Just because they're really exciting with how fresh and new they are, and I like the new takes on the characters.
But G.I. Joe was your top man.
I like having both versions, and what an embarrassment of riches to have two great G.I. Joe comics going on and on and on. But yeah, so Destro is awesome. This is issue 3, so 2 more issues until it finishes. This issue, I guess I should show the cover here. This issue, kind of notable because it's the first appearance of a new character. From what I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not actually a G.I. Joe expert, but I know
I like whatever's going on there.
It's
tights.
It's a good cover, and yeah, she's a cool new assassin character, and I think she's a new character exclusive to the Energon universe. If she is an older character, I don't remember her, and it's possible that she never had a toy made of her, which would be why I don't know who she is. But yeah, very very cool, good issue. There's kind of a twist at the end of it that I won't. That you probably, if you're reading the series, you would see it coming, but I'm not going to spoil it anyway. Okay, we got a lot of ground to cover, so we're not going to dwell on it too much. What do you got for me, Celeste?
Next up, Deadpool.
Yay.
I'm liking this series a lot. So in this series, he's kind of battling someone who's like, likes the fact that he can regenerate and he's practically immortal, and he's like, oh, I can learn a lot from you, the crazy man. And I like that it brought back, because I was reading this other series when it came out, so it's a continuation very much so, because there's characters from here that appear in there. So he has like this dog that is kind of like his daughter. He calls her Princess, and she's this
it's like a
symbiote,
like a monster symbiote dog, right there.
Yeah.
That's okay.
There's Princess.
Yeah.
I love Princess. And so if you wanted some more backstory on her, you can grab the trade paperback, because that's where she's born. And then this other character here, I don't know who she is, but that's also his daughter. So now I have to go back and find a trade somewhere where she appears.
Interesting.
But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I think the arc is wrapping up, and it's going to continue, but I think with a different arc.
Issue 5, yeah, so it should be getting close to the finish of its arc.
Yeah. So,
well,
I don't know, not much to say about it other than it's Deadpool.
Did you see the new movie, the Deadpool movie yet?
So I was gonna see it, and then I got distracted.
You haven't seen it yet?
No.
It's been out for like 3 weeks.
Well, like, plans just keep getting canceled.
I know.
Yeah.
I know how it be. It's okay.
Yeah.
I won't spoil anything for you.
Please don't.
You must not have been here the week that I talked about the movie, but
was that last week? Because I wasn't here last week.
No, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, which you also weren't here for. But yeah, so Deadpool, is this a new printing of this that's coming out? We've had this for a while now.
Yeah,
right?
We've had that for a while. But as far as if you want to go back and get caught up,
yeah.
And they're written and illustrated by different people, but I think they did a great job as far as matching the art style and matching the story and the pace and everything. I didn't notice until I went back and checked and go, oh, completely different people. But yeah, I'm liking it.
All right. We're going to blast through 2 more books that are in my poll. Local Man and Blood Squad 7. These are awesome, awesome, cool books if you were a teenage boy in the 90s and read Image Comics back then, because that is 100% who they are catering to. I don't have a whole lot to say about them. I think Blood Squad 7 I like more. It's written by Joe Casey, and he's just a really good writer. I like this is issue 4, and it's kind of the climax of the story. But it's a good setup where they try to launch this new superhero team, Blood Squad 7. And spoiler alert, I guess, the twist at the end of the first issue is that one of the members of the team turns out to be a serial killer.
Oh, what?
And so their first mission is that we have to take him down without anybody knowing. Because, we can't, we can't go public with our cool new team, and turns out one of them is a serial killer.
Wow.
So they
That's
bring
really
in,
funny.
yeah, it's pretty good, and they bring in like a replacement for him. The character's name is Ripcord, and it's like that's Ripcord 2.0.
Yeah.
So
wow, he
it's
stole his outfit.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's government issued outfit, but this issue is mostly just like lots of cool action. Art is really solid. Just big like cynical, not like
Yeah, look at
not
that.
not like standard superhero stuff. Like this is like classic Wildstorm type of superhero comics, which Joe Casey wrote Wildstorm comics back in the 90s. So he's definitely in his wheelhouse where it's like superheroes, but by way of like sci-fi. So it's less about the superhero tropes and more just like what would a real world science fiction story look like with people with superpowers. And that's kind of what they are. But there's like a little, few things here and there nods to them being superheroes, like costumes and secret identities and stuff like that. Local Man, on the other hand, is also a throwback to 90s stuff. It's a flip book, which I love. It has each issue has the main story, and then it has like a 5 or 6 page backup story in it, like classic issues of Youngblood did. This issue has a lot of Easter eggs for people that read the old Image stuff. There's some specific references to Youngblood that if you're not familiar with it, it might go over your head. I love this. Like this is like full on like Rob Liefeld style Image. You want to read Local Man? I highly recommend it. The main villain in this issue, again, it's something that's like they can't really due to the pouches, exactly, due to legal reasons. They can't say the name of the book or the characters that they're referencing because, like, here's a little just Image history for you. Image was founded by 6.5, 7 different comic book artists in 1991. The most famous of them being Todd McFarlane, he was drawing Spider-Man. He went on to create Spawn. Jim Lee, who was drawing X-Men, and he went on to create Wildcats and is now currently the president of DC Comics. And Rob Liefeld, who created Deadpool and Cable, and then went on to create his book Youngblood. And then after only a few years, Rob Liefeld, on threat of being fired from the group, quit. He pulled a classic, "You can't fire me, I quit." Wow. And he took his books and left the company. And so, this story references some old Image story, specifically Shattered Image, which was a miniseries, but also the main character is the girlfriend of a Youngblood character named Shaft. And she has an arrow here that's a reference to him, but she can't say the name Shaft. And so she's just referring to like this guy that she can't remember because of the multiverse crashing in on itself. It's this very deep lore. And there's even a specific line I'm going to point out. She says, "I saw my love ripped from the universe to a more awesome world." When Rob Liefeld left Image, he started his new company called Awesome Comics. So they're very overtly saying kind of like what's happening. Yeah, exactly. So it's really good. I really, really, really like Local Man. It's definitely got a lot of deep cut references to like the old fans, but I don't think it's necessary to really enjoy it. Although, like I said, kind of like you wouldn't understand the nuance of who this character is, this villain in this arc, without really understanding who Shaft and Youngblood and all of that stuff. Yeah. There's a nice, if you're a Spawn reader, there's a nice reference to Spawn in this issue, where a character character kind of gets
What
some.
is going on?
Oh, a
It
bunch
is
of.
so colorful.
So this is a bunch of characters get superpowers, and these
Uh-huh.
are all like takes on classic Image characters, specifically like Spawn and
Yeah.
a Cyberforce character, I believe. I honestly, I'm not as much as I appreciate the deep lore and the references to classic Image. I
Mhm.
actually didn't read a ton of classic Image comics. It was mostly something that a lot of my friends did. But I have an appreciation for them, and I'm just really liking Local Man. But yeah, so again, old guys, if you're my age and you appreciate Spawn is the dude from that Soul Calibur 2 game. Exactly. That is probably where a lot of you posers know Spawn from. Also, that awesome movie from 1997 starring John Leguizamo and Martin Sheen. Oh, come on. It's got the best CGI you've ever seen in a movie, hands down. I love that movie.
What movie?
It's called Spawn. It's the movie Spawn about the character Spawn, which we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Celeste. Okay, what comic you got? Let's talk about something.
So I got Lawful, which I've talked
Lawful.
about this before. I don't know if I talked
thought we did,
about it
yeah.
when the second issue came out.
Okay.
But it's written by Greg Pak, and
I'm a fan of Greg Pak.
yeah, I'm loving this. So the premise is basically every time you break a law, you slowly start turning into a monster.
That's right. Yeah, I wanted to read this.
Yeah, and then it starts to get really interesting as far as like
Mhm.
obviously it's corrupted, and he finds a potion that makes you turn back into like full human and whatever. So he finds out like
Mhm.
certain people are taking this.
So they can break the law and
yeah.
still not turn into a monster.
Yeah,
Ooh,
exactly. So
hypocrites.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It makes me mad. It makes me so angry. But yeah, so it's good when a comic can make you
feel something, get
and I'm like,
emotionally
oh,
invested.
I'm reading it like all these people.
I love when a story has like a good villain that you really just hate them.
Yeah,
and
but it's still like wrapped up in mystery. So
Mhm.
we're getting to the I don't know big reveal, I guess, on like where is it coming from?
Right,
Who started
right.
this?
Yeah,
Hopefully he can take them down. We'll
this
see.
looks good. I missed the first issue, so I'm probably just gonna wait for the trade on this one. As you can see, my stack of comics is super high, so
Extensive.
I don't need any extras. But
just get the trade when it comes out.
that's probably what I will do.
Yeah.
All right. I have a couple.
I only have 2 books.
Okay, I have. I forgot this was supposed to be in my pile of like regular pulls. Batman Superman World's Finest. This is issue 30. I am shocked that Mark Waid has kept this book going as long as it can. I don't want to talk about it too much. I think my comments with the last issue 29, was that that story arc was going on a little too long. It was about Mr. Mxyzptlk and Jimmy Olsen, and I just felt like it was a 5-issue story arc, and I like the stories where they're a little bit shorter, just like single issue stories, and that's what this issue is. And it has Wonder Woman in it, and it's like one of the first. It is the Trinity's first adventure, so it's in this continuity, it's the first time. It's not the first time they meet, but it's the first time Batman,
They
Superman.
did a team up.
Yeah, they have a team up, exactly.
Yeah.
So
love this.
I liked it quite a bit. Wonder Woman invites Batman and Superman to Themyscira to investigate an apparent murder, which is not something that happens on Themyscira because the Amazons live in a perfect utopian society, and the
sure.
mystery and you don't have to tell me, Celeste. Okay, moving on. I don't want to get myself in trouble. We're live here. Love the series currently on the first arc. Yes, all around great comic. Waid is one of the best going. Yeah, he really is. And like I said, this is issue 30, and I'm like, it's almost 3 years now that he's been writing this series, and it's solid. It's some of the best Batman and Superman comics currently on the stands. Really, really like it. Okay, I have 3 new number 1 books to talk about. You have 2 trade paperbacks here. Let's talk about these your 2 books, and then we'll blast your mind because you were supposed to read them and you didn't.
What? Wait, what?
That's okay. What do you got here?
So we have Godzilla, Monster Island Summer Camp.
I saw this one on the stands, and I kind of wanted to read it. It looks cute.
So artist is Oliver Ono,
Mhm.
writer is Rosie Knight. So
Here, put it
I
on the
grabbed it.
camera.
Yeah, I grabbed it because of the art style. And I do read Godzilla every now and then.
Mhm.
So I do appreciate that. But on the cover right here, that really explains sort of how the story goes.
So do you know who this character is?
Sam Manila. That's Manila.
That's Manila. Yes, you got it.
It's the only way I can remember the name.
It's Godzilla's kid.
Yeah. So she goes off to summer camp and she wants to be an artist, so she thinks it's an art camp. Turns out it got bought, and now it's like
this character is what you're talking about. Okay. She thinks she's going to an art camp.
Oh yeah, her name is Zelda.
Zelda,
Susie, you're gonna love that. You should read this just because of that. But yeah, so she goes off to this summer camp, and it got bought up by this corporation instead of
more incorporated. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and so it's now a sport camp, but she's disabled. Like she carries around a cane.
Oh.
So yeah, she goes off into the woods by herself while everyone is doing like sport stuff. I don't really know. And that's when she sort of falls into this other universe and meets Manila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think I've asked you this before. Do you know what Manila stands for? You know why his name is Manila?
Yeah, Manila.
No. It's I think that it's the term of portmanteau. It's a combination of mini Godzilla. Manila. It's just like the first syllable and the last syllable. Manila.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cute. I know. Manila is great.
So anyway, well, she makes friends with Manila. Yeah, and then the story goes on from there as far as I think like a lot of the what do they call it? Kaijus? A lot of the kaijus are going missing, and so obviously I didn't get to finish reading this one, but I have a feeling it has something to do with more incorporated.
I like the way this artist draws Manila.
Right?
Looks good.
At some point, there's this whole like dress up scene with Manila where they're like, "Oh, we have to disguise you," and so
classic.
Is Manila a girl?
I think Manila is a boy. I think. Also, I don't know if Godzilla has a gender.
That is true.
Could be asexual.
Yeah. Manila's Manila.
Manila is just Manila. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So they dress Manila up in like a hat and everything. They're looking in the mirror, all like, look at me.
Very like, E.T.
Yeah.
You remember? Have you seen E.T.?
I love E.T.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
I own that on DVD.
Wow. Yeah. Is it the version where the FBI agents have walkie-talkies instead of guns? Because that's a whole thing. Well, moving on. Probably. What else do you have here?
So I have Boy Island by Leo Fox. So this one is dedicated to trans people, and that's what this whole thing is about. Oh, wait.
Yeah. We gotta be careful which pages we show on this one. It's a very like underground comics style of art, just from looking at it. But it is graphic in a few places, despite being like kind of weirdly cutesy in some places.
Well,
right?
It's all about like gender, and so they do show stuff.
I don't want to like flip to anything I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, that's a safe one. I think the page after this too is perfectly fine.
Okay.
And so it's all about this journey of someone being trans, and it's very metaphorical as far as like on the cover here you can see, again, I can't like flip through the whole thing, but there's like these two islands and they call it Girl Island and Boy Island, and then these two weird little characters that you saw there. I immediately did what I was supposed to do.
No.
But those characters, they represent like I think this one guy, Jauncey, he represents like the bad things, and then you got Fairy, who represents like the good things, I guess, and perversion, that's what they say specifically. So Jauncey is like the spirit of perversion, corrupting a bunch of things, and it's just a beautifully done story, going through the whole like transition, and as far as not really gaining acceptance from parents, but like they still want the best for you, and it's wonderfully done, and I would
Okay.
recommend it to anyone who's like interested in that sort of thing.
All right.
But yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's my pick of the week.
That looks interesting.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna buy this one for like some friends and whatever.
Yeah,
But
I appreciate that it has weird art.
really weird
like,
art. Yeah, I like
you can tell it
the
definitely
metaphors
comes
in
from
it.
a very personal place.
Yeah, and when they go on this journey, they're given like a key and a spoon, and they're like, "Oh, you'll know what this is for," and it comes up later. So it's very, very well done, very artistic.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got 3 number 1 books we're going to talk about. I'm going to save. I don't know. We're going to the one that everybody wants to talk about for last.
But that's the one I want to.
This is the one you want to talk about. Well, good.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one. Patra. This is the one you said you wanted to read, and did you read it?
No, I did not have time.
All right.
I opened this first page and said not today.
This is a horror comic by James Robinson and Scott Collins. These are veterans of the comic book industry. They've been around for a while. James Robinson he's been writing books since the 80s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked this issue a good amount. I do feel like it feels like it's written for the trade paperback, I guess I'll just say. So when it got to the end of the issue, it didn't feel like the end of an issue. It just felt like we're stopping here, and then the next issue will just keep going from there. Which is a style like some like I said, it'll work probably really well as a collected edition where you can just read the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But the setup is pretty interesting. It's kind of a play on like B movies. There's a lot of Halloween and Michael Myers in this, where so like a Rick Remender book. Actually, you know what? That's a good comparison. Yeah, because I agree. A lot of Rick Remender's books kind of have that, where it's like each issue is just kind of, here's some stuff that happens, but there's no real like starting point or stopping point. Robert Kirkman has that a little bit too, particularly with Walking Dead, if you ever read that. But yeah, so this is what did we say? Patra, which is, I think it's supposed to be like, it's this little girl's name, and it's supposed to be like her, like a short for Cleopatra. Like it's apostrophe Patra, like that's what they call her. And
not Cleo.
No, Patra? Not Cleo. They call her Patra. But it's kind of a surreal storytelling setup where this small town, they stumble into a house where there's been a murder and the whole family is murdered. But there's one little daughter that has survived, and she wakes up in a field and she's covered in blood, and she keeps finding herself wearing this mask with holding a bloody knife.
Do you think she killed her parents?
I don't know, because it's kind of surreal and like what's going on, because like she has no memory of like how she got there or what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's another character who's set up to be the serial killer, and there's a very there's a guy who, let's see if I can find. Oh yeah, here we are. This character here. He works at a hospital for the mentally unwell, and he goes to visit the sheriff to tell him all about this escaped patient who's violent and a danger. He's this very Dr. Loomis from Halloween.
Yeah.
And like this character he's talking about is kind of like a Michael Myers type. Like I said, it's leaning very heavily on a lot of horror tropes. But there is the unique element of the girl that survived, and a lot of the story is from her perspective, so you don't really know like what's going on. There's the art depicting the killer. He's looking for her in the woods. Like, I really like the art a lot. Like, it looks really good. Like I said, it's a very, very well made comic book.
I'm not usually into like darker like horror, only because the way it's drawn is very like grimy or this one, I grabbed this one because of the art.
I think you will like it.
In it.
Yeah, the art is good. It's like I said, it's appropriately surreal when it needs to be. It's like, it's scary in as much as like serial killer stories can be scary, where you don't know if this character is going to survive or not. But it's more like it's less. It is a horror genre, but it's less like a scary horror and more like trashy slasher horror. Like Friday the 13th kind of stuff going on. Like, there appears to be maybe a supernatural element. You don't know.
I mean, if she all of a sudden has like this mask show up, is that like through magic?
You don't know, because from her perspective, she doesn't know, is it all in her head? Is it something that she doesn't understand? Like, because she's like blacking out, and then she wakes up and she's got the mask on.
She could just be crazy.
Right. Yes. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good comic. Another comic that comes out tomorrow, that I really, really liked and I knew nothing about, called Huge Detective. Now, this comic got me because this cover is by Paul Pope, and he's one of my favorite comic book artists who doesn't draw enough comics these days. But the setup for this is really interesting. It's a world where giants have returned, like classic, like Jack and the Giant Beanstalk kind of a thing. And so this story opens with like a little history of like giants are back on Earth. They've taken over Australia. They've just like agreed to a peace treaty with the humans where the giants just get to live on Australia.
Oh
And yeah, so they're giant. They're literal giants, like fee fi fo fum giants.
yeah.
And they find peace with the humans by trading their traveling services. Like they will just carry humans across the continent, like across oceans, in exchange for rum and whiskey, which is a pretty funny. It's a pretty good little thing. But it's a detective story where a detective has to team up with a giant detective. In this comic, like in this world, the giants are referred to as huges. Like instead of saying they're giant, they say they're huge. Like they're a huge. Like instead of saying a giant, they're a huge.
Do you think if someone called them a giant, then they're like racist?
That, you know what, it could be something like that, where because they refer to they make a reference to heightist attitudes.
Oh, okay.
But the setup here is that there's this character who's a schizophrenic, crazy person who thinks he's a huge, and he's involved in some way in the murder of a little girl.
Oh yeah, look, no, he's definitely big. Look at that.
Well, then that's the reveal, is that he's high up in this cell because he will only talk to her from this perspective, because if she's face to face with him, it'll break the reality and he'll realize that he's not a huge and he'll just like shut down. So it's this whole like very
that's really interesting.
It's really clever. I really was like really impressed with just how much world building is put into this story, but also it's like a really complete story, and it tells a very like sets up a very clear mystery while also being in this weird setting.
And I really like that it's just about giants and nothing else. I was telling my friend about that the other day, where I like when you take one little aspect of this world, change it, and then really develop on like how that affects everything.
Exactly, and that's kind of what this is.
Like we don't need vampires or werewolves, just giants.
Right. So yeah, the story is about her having to team up with this huge detective. That's literally what he is, who is also investigating the disappearance of two huge persons. Okay. And so they think that they might be connected. These two cases might be connected in some way. Like I said, it's really good. I like the art a lot. Very
what is
unique.
He eating? A truck?
It's food. They have to feed him, so they have like a semi truck full of like pork ribs or something.
I see.
Because that's part of the treaty, is that huges, they agree to not eat people anymore. And so there's this. It's like I said, it's an interesting little world that they've built. I do admit I have one small problem with it. Where do they poop? In the Mariana Trench, probably, or in a volcano. That's what I would do. Just burn it up. But
it smells so bad.
That's true. One of the things that like I can't get over with this comic, and you're gonna have to forgive me for going on a bit of a tangent, but one of my favorite animated series of all time is the Venture Brothers. And there is a character in the Venture Brothers, Dean Venture, who's like a little nerd, and he reads a lot of books. And one of his favorite book series is one of Dean Venture's favorite book series is a young adult reader book called Giant Boy Detective, and it's about a boy detective who's also a giant. Okay. And so when I see this huge detective, all I can imagine is that this is like the book that he's reading in the cartoon. And I can't get it out of my head. Huge detective, giant boy detective. It's in my head. It won't leave, and now it's in yours. If you know Venture Brothers,
it's not going to be in my head.
It's not going to be in your head at all. Okay, that's true. We established that with you. Okay, but highly recommend Huge Detective. If it's a little weird, it's a little quirky, offbeat, but really well done setup for like a mystery plot, like a detective comic. I do like me some good detective noir. All right, one final book to talk about, and that is
Ooh, okay.
That is Wolverine Revenge. A lot of people are pretty excited about this book. I mean, it's a Wolverine comic, so it's going to do well.
Love this cover.
Wolverine and a dinosaur. That's pretty much all I need. Although I will admit, I went into this comic with pretty low expectations. I don't like a lot of Wolverine comics these days. He's definitely there's too many Wolverine books out there. And it's written by Jonathan Hickman, who I run hot and cold on. Don't always like everything that he does, but the art is by Greg Capullo, who is a legend in the comic book industry. Mm-hmm. He was a guy that was drawing Wolverine and X-Force comics back in the 90s. Okay. 90s. That's again, old guy here. So you got Greg Capullo on board. It's going to be like a cool looking book. And one of the things that surprised me about it was that it doesn't necessarily take place. It's a pretty great team. Yeah, Hickman and Capullo. One of the things that surprised me about it is it doesn't strictly take place in the modern day. It's not exactly a retro continuity book, but it does take place in a continuity. Oh yeah, the Capullo Batman run with Snyder. I mean, Capullo's just great. He drew Spawn for a long time too. He's pretty much the only guy that could take over for Spawn after Todd McFarlane. But that's neither here nor there. So what I was saying is that this book is interesting because it takes place in an approximation of 90s continuity. So the characters that are in this book are pretty much their 90s versions. So they establish the story takes place after Asteroid M crashes into Earth. Asteroid M is Magneto's home asteroid that he lives on that orbits Earth. Mm-hmm. There's a dinosaur on the cover and doesn't take place in modern times. No, because the dinosaur is in the Savage Land, which if you were a regular X-Men reader, you would know that the Savage Land is a regular place that the X-Men go to.
Yeah, but hey, Aaron, what's the Savage Land?
Oh my gosh. The Savage Land is essentially like the land that time forgot. It exists underneath Antarctica, and it's like a place that it's untouched by evolution because when the asteroid destroyed all life on the Earth, the Savage Land was protected by the ice dome. Facepalm, exactly. Long story short, it's prehistoric time of dinosaur times under Antarctica.
So they stole it from Ice Age.
I strike that, reverse it, other way around.
I think they stole it from Ice Age.
They stole it from Arthur C. Clarke's The Land That Time Forgot.
Journey to the Center of the
And Earth? Probably a little bit of that too. I forget, but
there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. It's been around.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, this, like I said, it takes place in like 90s continuity. So Wolverine is like the 90s version of the character. The story sets up at the beginning. Magneto, Asteroid M crashes to Earth, and Magneto dies. These are the events after issue 3 of X-Men, the 1991 series, illustrated by Jim Lee. Mm-hmm. So I was like really, really excited. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is going to take place in 90s continuity. Spoiler alert, it's not strictly 90s continuity because, as you can see here, the Winter Soldier is in it, and Winter Soldier would not have been around. Oh yeah, Land of the Lost. That's another one. I love Land of the Lost.
Fern Gully.
Fern Gully.
From Earth's history.
Yeah, Earth's history, exactly.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like I was saying, the Winter Soldier is in this, so it's not strictly the 90s continuity. Also because Magneto dies, and the premise, the setup is that Magneto dies, and when he dies, he lets off a powerful EMP blast that just wipes out all electronics on the entire planet.
That sucks.
Yeah, right. And so there's a little bit of a bait and switch going on with this issue with all the dinosaur stuff because, all right, man, Alex, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, we do got to wrap it up. It's 8:30 here. But Wolverine's in the Savage Land on vacation, and then Nick Fury shows up, and it's just like, there's a lot of chaos going on out there. We need you for a mission. So all of that is to say they have to fight a bunch of villains, and they're all like Wolverine villains. Deadpool.
Wait, Dan says spoilers.
Dan says spoilers. All right, Dan. Spoilers. I don't want to spoil that the setup of the comic. But you know what? It's really, really good. There's a lot of cool characters in it, and that, like I said, they're like the '90s version of themselves. So I appreciated that. The only other thing to note, and this is where I the other reason I was went in with low expectations, because this is another book that Marvel is releasing 2 copies of, the regular version and the red band version. And as you can see from the covers, the red band version is a lot bloodier.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily, I guess we can maybe compare and contrast one page. If you don't know what the red band means, as you can see, in this page, Wolverine fights a dinosaur and he stabs it. As you can see, Wolverine fights a dinosaur and he stabs it and it bleeds out. But in the red band R-rated version of the same page, you can see here there's a difference in the art. Wolverine guts it and disembowels it, and all its organs fall out over top Wolverine. So it's a lot bloodier. Rawr. There's some differences in the art. And there are 2, I'm not going to show them on stream, but there are 2 unique pages of art that are in the red band version that aren't in the regular version. And I just want to say, for the record, I hate this stupid gimmick. It's so bad. It's just a way to get you to buy 2 copies of the same book. It's awful. Marvel should be ashamed of themselves.
So I've been seeing a lot of the red band stuff come out, but I was only years old when I found out that it's actually different interior.
Art. Yeah. It is different interior art. I really wish they would have just released the red band version, as a Marvel Max type book, like they do with Garth Ennis's Get Fury. That's just a Marvel Max book. They're not releasing a red band version of it. But the difference is, Wolverine is a popular character for the kids, so you got to ride that line where Wolverine can be tough and kill things, but not too much. So I don't know. I liked the comic, but the whole red band thing, it just puts a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
I'm an adult, so I'm just gonna buy whichever one I want. It's not an issue.
But if you don't buy the regular one, then you're missing out on the art from the regular one.
I know. It's really frustrating. Also, the red band version costs $1 more than the regular version.
Oh yeah, that too.
Which is also just feels dirty. It's so so scummy. They are bullying me. Yeah. And they're lucky. I've avoided the red band stuff that they did for their Blood Hunt crossover, because I don't care about Blood Hunt. But now they kind of got me with the Wolverine comic, with versions of the characters that I like, illustrated by Greg Capullo. It's a great team. But I'll tell you what's not happening. I'm not buying both versions of the book. So that's,
which one you buying?
I bought the red band version. That's why because the red band version comes sealed in a poly bag, so you can't. Yeah. So you can't. If you see it on the stands, it's in a sealed poly bag like this, so you can't see what's inside of it. And it just makes it all the more tantalizing to want to know the difference.
So what's in it?
Yeah, what's in it? So, you know what? Yeah. I'm on record as saying I disapprove of Marvel's methods, but darn it, I kind of liked the issue. So
but I'm going to buy it anyway.
I'm going to get it anyway. They got me, those jerks. Wow. All right, I'm out of breath. I'm just not in the... That's it for today. Yeah. I'm in a bad mood talking about Marvel's red band Wolverine nonsense. But also, there are so many good comics coming out tomorrow. I'm super excited. I love them. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Like our good friend Dan likes to say, there's comics out there for everybody. Everyone, not just superhero stuff. So come on down to Fantasy Books and Games. Grab some comic books. You can talk to me and Celeste about them. If you can't get them from us, get them from somewhere. That's it. We're signing off. Thanks, everybody. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.